The Sacramento Kings continue to make moves as Monte McNair hasn't been able to get much sleep this week as moves continue to happen. A lot of Kings fans are frustrated about the waiving of Boogie Ellis, but this was amongst a ton of other signings of cuts for this Kings roster, and there are some pretty notable names that are now getting added to this Kings team, to this Kings organization, and we'll break down the impact that they'll have, what the expectations are for them on this team, on the G League team, on this roster, and frankly, how the roster is shaped up heading into this season. So lots of stuff to break down in this video, but folks, if you guys are a part of the over 84% of our viewers that haven't hit the subscribe button just yet, Kings season, Kings basketball is just around the corner. Obviously, we have some preseason, but I'm not counting that yet in terms of Kings basketball, with how ugly the preseason kind of was, at least in the win-loss column. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the Sacramento Kings, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. I mean, getting tons of new viewers, and if you're part of the new wave looking for Kings news, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you're a part of that 84%. But let's dive into the news. Let's dive into what's going on, because frankly, there is a lot of transactions happening for the Sacramento Kings right now as they announce that obviously Boogie Ellis, which is the name that got announced first by reporters, and then obviously they made the full-out press release. So along with Boogie Ellis, Scalabicia, Terry Taylor, as well as Broderick Thomas, can never pronounce his name, but have all been waived by the Sacramento Kings, and they have signed Antoine Davis, Drew Timme, as well as Shareef O'Neal, who are all expected to play for the join the Stockton Kings, the NBA G League affiliate for the Sacramento Kings. So basically, lots of signings, lots of waivings, and this is fairly interesting because generally across the league, in years past with the Sacramento Kings, different teams, when players are in preseason, in training camp with your group, those are the guys that end up making the roster, that end up, getting those spots filled for, the G League affiliate for these different teams. But the Kings went in an interesting direction and brought in some guys in different camps and different preseasons or different teams throughout the course of preseason, and we'll essentially break down who these players are, because some of them, yes, they're expected to play for the Stockton Kings, but to get into that core group, to get into that Kings system, could end up making their way to the main roster at some point. So we'll break it all down here, as the first guy is a pretty interesting name. Probably the most unknown in terms of that list is Antoine Davis, who 26 years old, from Bloomington, Indiana, another one of these guards, right? And with some of Kings fans' frustrations with McLaughlin, that's one of the reasons people were confused and Boogie Ellis ended up getting cut. But Antoine Davis is an interesting piece that could potentially find his way out there on the Kings roster at that guard position, because definitely in college, the guy put up some ridiculous stats out there. Again, a little bit of an older sort of player, 2022, 2023 season, so had a little year break there from college, but averaged 26 points per game, was able to shoot, the guy shot the heck out of the basketball on 11, 12 attempts a game, shot 41% from behind the three-point line. He gets a couple rebounds, and he gets a few assists and stuff, but really a shooting PG, 6'1", a guy that can put up some shots in a hurry. And obviously Sacramento has some answers at the point guard position that they need to figure out, trading away Davion Mitchell over the course of the offseason, who's really going to be the reliable piece to come in and be a backup guard, second string, third string for this Kings roster, and who's really going to be into that mix. And Boogie out, right? Antoine's an interesting sort of player to bring into the system, right? Over the course of the Summer League, again, played for Sacramento, has a relationship there. Basically, it's weird sort of looking at all the stats. The second row is kind of the full out Summer League stats out there over the course of Summer League, and, pretty solid stuff, like in terms of his advanced stats, in terms of the metrics out there at the guard position. So again, Antoine's an interesting guy that can shoot the heck out of the basketball at the point guard spot, and will be a fun player to at least watch on the Stockton Kings. But basically, the two other names are the bigger, more household names that are now coming in to this Kings squad, to this Kings organization here now at this point. And the first one, and we've already listed all the names, is Drew Timme, who, if you're not familiar, if you didn't watch him play at Gonzaga, is a household name, the handlebar mustache, all that type of stuff. 24 years old, 6'10", and has a really interesting kind of unorthodox game, and played for the Sacramento Kings, during the course of this year's Summer League, in 21 minutes per night. Came out there, didn't set the world on fire by any stretch, but averaged 11 points per game. Came out, knocked down, not a crazy, well, definitely a low percentage of his threes, only shooting 14% from behind the three-point line, but, shot well from the free throw line, got some rebounds. Drew Timme is a guy that's, can go out there, get you some boards, can space the floor, can do different things, and the cool thing about Drew Timme is, he's he's been a household name for a little while now. He's been on the big stage. He's got that national recognition out there at the NC, the collegiate level, playing for Gonzaga, and in 31 minutes per game in his last season in college, the guy came out and really just showed out, right? 21 points per game, came out at 7.5 rebounds, 3.2 assists, an underrated passer out there as a big man. And again, the 3-point shooting percentage, it did dip as his career sort of went along, but he can shoot it from out there. He's had some big moments knocking down the shots, even though the percentages aren't that high. He can shoot the midi, and again, if he can develop that 3-point shot, if he can get it to a point where it's super consistent, then he is someone that you'd be very, very excited to have in-house, to have inside your sort of organization. So Drew Timme, again, memes aside, could be an interesting sort of piece. Happy that, because spent preseason out there with the Milwaukee Bucks, came back to the Sacramento Kings to sort of make things roll. And so, we got Drew Timme there, and then the final guy sort of listed out there on that list in terms of players that the Sacramento Kings brought in is Shareef O'Neal. Now, obviously, Shaquille O'Neal, his father, had a big ties to the Sacramento Kings organization, even though it was a rivalry, the Sacramento Queens stuff back in the day, but Shaquille O'Neal was a minority owner in the Sacramento Kings for nearly a decade now at this point. Sold his shares a couple years ago, but I'm sure those relationships, especially in the front office, there has been crazy turnover out there for Sacramento. There's that relationship still there. And then Shareef O'Neal is, again, still a good basketball player, but is probably have the connects to get back into the mix out there with this Kings team. And basically, in the G League last year, Shareef O'Neal didn't set the world on fire, averaged about 6 points per game, 3.1 rebounds, the real GM stuff. The stats are all in the different places, but, it took 0.25 attempts from the 3-point line. Again, not a high volume shooter, but does have those Shaquille O'Neal genetics, is a sizable, pretty solid athlete, finish around the rim a little bit, and again, as a younger piece, a guy that has a big name, who knows? Maybe he could develop out there for the Stockton Kings and whatever. Probably the guy I'm most excited about, obviously, is Drew Timme, just because of the memes, the excitement there at this point. Do I expect any of these guys signed on Exhibit 10s that are going to go to the G League affiliate to have an impact right away or to make their way to the roster? Even this season, probably not, but having them in-house, having them inside your organization allows you to really see who's blossoming, who's getting to that next level. And then, if they are playing really well at the G League, they're developing really well. If things don't go the way Sacramento Kings fans are expecting over the course of this season, you want some more prospects out there, and especially some of the deep bench guys, because again, there's been some frustrations with the Joneses of the world, the different players out there on this team, right? Then you can maybe make some moves, make some tweaks, and bring in some of these deep cut bench players. But that's kind of the acquisitions. Those are the new guys now in this Kings organization. Lots of moves happening. Again, these don't have any major implications the same way the Jalen McDaniels trade to the San Antonio Spurs one did, but it still, you want to bolster, you want to get these ones right, so you have the right core pieces out there, in your prospect pool for your organization. But let me know what you guys think about all these different signings. You guys best make this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Again, you made it this far. I'm doing the sub ask again. You're part of the 84%. Make sure you guys hit that sub button. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.